Welcome to Long Time Ago. My name is Martin, and with me, as always, is my cousin Adam. Hi, Adam.
Hey, all right.
How's it going? I caught you by surprise there.
A little bit, yeah. I was just going over our notes.
Yeah, you're concentrating on your phone.
Yeah, concentrating, yeah. I should apologise. I've got a little bit of a raspy throat, so hopefully Martin will do all the work he normally does. So yeah, we'll just try to bear with me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about Andor episode 4 this week.
Yeah.
But I just told Adam, and he was quite surprised to hear that, obviously, as you can see behind me, I'm in a bit of a different location this week.
Yeah, do you want to tell everyone where you are?
Yeah, well, I'm actually in the Lake District at the moment.
And it actually has some Star Wars relevance as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I didn't come here because of the Star Wars relevance, but I ended up finding this out online that I walked up it's not really a mountain, but I'm going to call it a mountain because it sounds more impressive, called the Cat Bells. And just along the side of the Cat Bells is a big lake called Derwent Water. And they used footage or plates for footage there for where they filmed The Force Awakens, some of the scenes in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, specifically, I think around Maz's castle and the scene where the X-Wings are flying over the water before they get to hers.
Right.
The first time we're introduced to
I have to go back and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you've only seen it probably once or twice.
Yeah, I've seen Force Awakens a couple of times, but that's about it, yeah.
So that was pretty cool, knowing that I'd walked there and that they'd filmed something there. So yeah, that was good.
So did you know about that before you went?
I didn't actually. I just found out about it, and there's a chap online we'll probably have to reference that did a video, and he actually shows the plates. He's actually taken pictures and then compared them to the actual shots that were used in the movies. But so nice. It was really cool.
We'll see if we can find that. We'll put it in the description, shall we?
Yeah, definitely. It's really good.
Cool.
So yeah, Andor episode 4. What did you think?
I actually really enjoyed it. The pace had slowed down again a little bit from episode 3, but it was still building to something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was quite interesting to see. Well, many things, but you know, we see Mon Mothma for the first time. We see Coruscant. They reference Scarif and some of the other planets that I haven't heard of, but I think you mentioned that they have been shown before in Clone Wars.
Yes, yeah. Then Rebels, there was quite a few.
Rebels, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to say, we thought we were going to see flashbacks of Luthen as he had the long hair, but it turned out to just be a wig. So I thought that was quite a cool.
It was. That was a really good moment, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah. Quite.
You saw him turning into the character that he plays. You know. Yeah.
So they're all spies at the end of the day. Everyone's a spy. Yeah. What about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, and I thought episode 4 did what episode 3 did for all the characters we saw. You know, on the planet that Andor was on. It kind of introduced them and gave you hints at what we'd expect during the whole series. And again, season 4 moved more to Coruscant and Adani and introduced you to even more characters. You know, you got introduced to all the Imperials from the Imperial Security Bureau, the ISB, I believe, which I thought they were all portrayed brilliantly. And,
really good.
Yeah, all power hungry, wanting to get high up the ranks. That was great. Really enjoyed all the stuff that we saw with them. And we met the news. I'm going to call them the rebel cell that's going to take on the base on Rahani. I think it's Rahani, is it? I think it was Rahani. And they're going to try and rob the payroll for the Imperial payroll. Right, so again, it kind of did its job. Like you say, it wasn't action packed. It wasn't too much going on, but it was setting the pieces of the chessboard, if that makes sense, ready for when I think the series will start in a crescendo going towards the end, and we'll see. I'm predicting many of these characters will be dying.
Well, I was thinking the same, to be honest, but
yeah.
I did sort of think, because they started the planning for the attack on the base quite early into the episode. I thought, I might be wrong on that. It might actually be about halfway through, but it felt quite early to me. And I almost thought that we might actually get to see them making their way in, and I was quite hopeful that we would. It has actually left me wanting to see episode 5 quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the pacing of the show, it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see that for a few episodes, because there was a couple of things that Andor said in dialogue to the Rebel Cell, where he said, oh no, sorry, it was Luthen he said it to. He was in prison after getting into trouble as a youngster, and I think during the trailer we saw lots of scenes of him in a prison, it looks like a prison. So I think we're probably going to see, as we predict,
some more flashbacks,
through his entire life up until the point he's at now. So we could, in theory, not see any of this stuff until right at the end of the season or towards the end of the season. But that's fine. I mean, I think we're getting some great character development. We get some great,
providing if they do go into flashbacks, that it's not just fillery type thing, and they actually have some sort of substance there.
Yeah. I mean, he's spoken a lot about his past in scenes. One of the Easter eggs was he fought on Mimban, which is obviously the mud planet we saw in Solo, that Han was fighting on, and Luthen obviously knew all about. He told him he was fighting there and only got away, but Luthen knew that he was actually really just a cook. And by the sounds of it, he just ran away. So that was a great scene, because he was kind of making the point, I know, don't try and pull one over on me. So that was great. But I have to say, as great as all these scenes were, and seeing Coruscant again, and seeing the Imperials, and just seeing a little bit of a TIE fighter flying over, that was all brilliant. But I personally thought, where we went for episodes 1, 2, and 3 without getting too many Easter eggs, I felt that in this episode, for me personally, I was tick 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 tick. There was just so many Easter eggs for hardcore Star Wars fans, and just general Star Wars fans, just who have a passing interest in Star Wars. So I know we don't have a huge amount of time every week, so I thought, well, instead of just reviewing the show scene by scene, perhaps I should start going through some of the Easter eggs that I spotted.
But I mean, you would have spotted a lot more than me, as you say. The super Star Wars fans out there would have spotted a lot. Me, not so much. Don't know. I'm just going through, having a little look for them. A lot of them seem to take place in Luthen's antique shop, if you like, didn't they?
Yeah, a lot of them were just through dialogue as well. I thought. I think you picked up on was it this planet you mentioned earlier? Scarif got a mention.
Scarif, yeah.
And I think when he said that we're moving all resources to Scarif, that's basically the Death Star.
The Death Star,
because the Death Star was originally being built at Geonosis, and they moved the construction of the Death Star to Scarif. So could you said to me in the last episode, or the previous episode, when we were sort of what we were looking forward to, you said to me, do you think we'll see Scarif? And I was completely dismissive of it. I was
absolutely
like,
not.
No chance, absolutely no chance. So you never know.
It got a mention, and it's a nice looking planet. Rogue One, it does look quite smart. Yes. So what else do we have then? Do you want to take that one away?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of Easter eggs were in Luthen's antique store, I'm going to call it. The first one that instantly jumped out at me, as having played The Force Unleashed, the first game, quite a few times, was the armor that you see in the background. That was Starkiller's dark side armor. It was you could choose to wear that if you wanted to at the end of the game as a dark side user. That was awesome.
Starkiller was Darth Vader's apprentice, right?
That's right. In the game,
And
it's
do you know what? I
non-canon.
think the only way I know that is because you put that one out today. It's
I mean,
VC
how crazy?
100
Yeah. I mean, it's
on
the
our.
100th day in a row that we've put out a picture of the vintage collection, and it just happened to coincide
Yeah,
with that being on Andor. So yeah, doing the lottery this
yeah,
weekend.
yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. Another really cool one. Well, cool if you like. If it's cool because it kind of links to the Mortis trilogy. The father, the son, and the daughter.
All right.
The Mortis
You're going to
trilogy,
have to
and
give me some sort of reminder there, I
yeah,
think.
Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka. They kind of head into this this void, let's say, and then they all wake up and they're on this planet.
I
And
remember this. This Clone
yeah,
Wars episode.
Clone Wars. That's right.
Yeah.
So it kind of introduced the father, the son, and the daughter, and
Mm,
the father was keeping the daughter, who was the light side of the force, and the
that's
son, who was
right.
the dark side of the force, in balance. And I mean, there's a lot more to it than this, but basically, he was dying, and he wanted Anakin to take his place so that he would then be the balance,
Yeah.
create the balance in the force. But anyway, it wasn't really about that arc, but you needed to know that because in Rebels, there was a place called the World Beyond Worlds, and it was basically I don't like it personally. I know a lot of people do, but I don't think there should be time travel in Star Wars. But it introduced time travel,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Ezra was basically trying to find a way to get into the world between worlds, and he was given these tablets that kind of helped him work out how to do that. Again, there's a lot more to it than that, but we haven't got a huge amount of time. And he uses those tablets to go to the world between worlds, and he managed. And it's something that Palpatine's after as well. Palpatine wants the power to do it. And long story short, he goes into the world between worlds and pulls Ahsoka out of it. But I won't go into too much more detail because I probably ruined
Yeah.
it for loads of people.
Yeah.
And so those tablets were kind of a really big hint at that. So
Right.
that was really cool.
So they're slightly different to the. I'm just looking again at the pictures that you sent over to me. They are slightly different. They're broken up, but it's got the same symbols to them.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think it's something that's located at different places around the galaxy. Like in Rebels, there was lots of Jedi temples that were hidden, and kind of the same thing with this.
Okay.
But yeah, that was really cool. There was a really deep cut Rebels Easter egg in there, one that I thought was great. When Mon Mothma's back in her apartment, she's talking to her husband, who's a dick, and she says that she's worried about the plight of the Gorman.
Yeah.
Now, a few years later in Rebels, Mon Mothma leaves the Galactic Republic and proclaims her allegiance to the Rebel Alliance. And in a communication that's sent out around the galaxy to try and pull other rebels together to create the Rebel Alliance, and she calls out the Emperor, and that's because she says in this communication the continuing plight of the Gorman, because things have escalated since obviously this episode of Andor, and it's got worse for them. So this is the beginning of her, having had enough, for want of a better phrase. So that was a really deep cut bit of dialogue and an Easter egg. So that was really cool. In the same scene, her husband, talking about who he's invited for dinner, has invited the Viziers, and they're basically the number twos to the Emperor.
Okay.
So it could be someone we've never seen before, but it could also be Masamida or Sly Moore. So I just had to look at her name. Okay. And they're both characters we've seen in the prequels.
Your man with the blue horns.
That's right.
Blue man with the horns. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And the kind of psycho-looking woman who's called Sly Moore. Now, her species. Do you remember the Clone Wars arc where there was the Jedi who turned against the clones? Krell, I think his name was, and they're on a planet. Oh god, I can't remember his name.
What does he look like? I think I do. I think I
Yeah,
can remember it now.
remember the guy with 4 arms from Attack of the Clones, Dexter Jetster? He owned the
Yeah,
cafe, and Obi-Wan goes to visit him to get some information.
yeah,
Yeah, he was one of those aliens, and they're on
right.
this planet that's dark, completely dark all the time.
Hmm.
And my knowledge is escaping me. Haven't got enough brain power these days. But the planet that they're fighting on is the planet of Slimeore. So yeah. So if you can know the name, please put it in the comments because I can't remember right now. So yeah, we could see one of them, which is really cool because we've seen them before,
Yeah.
but it could easily just as well be someone else. But because at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, when the Emperor comes on board the Death Star, he comes off the shuttle, and following him down the ramp are several of his dignitaries. So it could well be one of those. So that would be cool.
Oh, yeah. That's another Easter egg to look out for in
the
possibly next episode.
Yeah, definitely. In the same antique store there was that Luthen owns was Calicori, which again is another Rebels Easter egg. A Calicori is kind of an antique that represents the family history of a Twi'lek, and Hera, who obviously flies the Ghost in Rebels. She has one of those stolen by Grand Admiral Thrawn in Rebels, so that was really cool. It's not obviously hers, but it's another Twi'lek. There's Mandalorian armor in the antique store. I don't know if you spotted that.
No.
It's really quick, properly, to be fair.
Yeah.
The horn, which is sat next to the Mandalorian armor, is a horn used by the Wookiees on Kashyyyk.
Right. Okay.
There is also a shield just as she walks into the antique store at the beginning, which is a Gungan shield from the Phantom Menace. Really deep cut again. Really enjoyed that. What else was there? There was the couple of planets mentioned. There was Ryloth, which is obviously the planet of the Twi'leks, and I think in the dialogue that the Imperial officers were all saying that they were going to expect more prisoners coming in. Well, that makes sense because in the Clone Wars and Rebels and the Bad Batch, you can quite clearly see that they're quite rebellious against the Empire, the Twi'leks. So that was a great Easter egg.
Yeah. You say Ryloth's obviously the planet. To me, I wouldn't have known that. Like, there's so many. Your knowledge is just completely everything's like going over my head. How many times have you watched the episode?
Just once.
You watched it once. Did you pause it?
No, I didn't pause it. No, but there's a few. There's a few of these that I'm listing out that I haven't got myself that I've just seen.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not going to take credit for all of them, but the planet names and things like that, yeah, definitely they're the ones that I've picked out because while I haven't seen Andor many times, everything that preceded it I've seen lots of times. So,
your knowledge there is all good. Yeah. Cool.
Now this was a really, really deep cut and probably my favorite Easter egg of the whole lot. There's a moment, I don't know if you remember, where Luthen gives Andor a kyber crystal necklace. And I'm not going to give you the massive detail because I don't remember it, but we've talked about it a few times. There's a great game called Knights of the Old Republic that takes place a few thousand years before the stuff that we see these days. And he mentions that the crystal was saved after the Rakatans tried to conquer Kuat, and basically that was mentioned in the game. You didn't actually see it, but it was mentioned in the game. So I've played the game all the way through a couple of times, and as soon as I heard it, I was like, hopefully my friend Stuart picked that up as well because he was the one who introduced me to Knights of the Old Republic, and it was absolutely brilliant. And
so does it seem like they're trying to make the games canon?
Yes.
Are they already?
Since the Disney series have started, there's been so many little things that have been introduced that
We said
were.
about it with a couple of episodes of Obi-Wan, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, a lot of EU has started to become canon, definitely. I mean, Grand Admiral Thrawn was EU, to be honest with you, before they introduced him in Rebels. So yeah, that was really, really cool. Kuat as well being mentioned is great because that's actually where a Imperial shipyard is, and so that's where they build all the Star Destroyers.
Okay.
Again, and that's appeared in many games over the years. So that was really good. I just checked my list. I don't think I had any more. No, I think that was all my Easter eggs. Oh, Utapau was mentioned. Utapau is the planet where Obi-Wan kills General Grievous in Revenge of the Sith, and the species that Utapauans is what the Grand Inquisitor was.
Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
Yep.
So I remember you saying he had 2 stomachs. Utapau
yes,
have 2
that's
stomachs.
Right, yeah.
That's how he survived.
And I didn't get this one, and I haven't seen it. I'm going to go back and check it out. But I'm reading something here on Twitter that says, as you walk into Indiana Jones, into Luthen's antique store out the back when he takes her out to the back part, there's some carbonite units there, and in the carbonite is Indiana Jones's whip and 2 Shankara stones from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to keep an eye out for those.
Look for that one again. Yeah.
Yeah. And the same person, on Twitter has said that there's also in the background, and again I haven't seen these. There's a Sith and a Jedi holocron sat on the back shelf. So if do you know what holocron is?
No,
I'm sure you must. Yeah, well, holocron is basically where the Jedi and the Sith store all their information, all their ancient information.
Okay.
We've seen a holocron, haven't we?
I was going to say, I think we might have seen them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think where we've seen one from. This was definitely one in Rebels.
I think I've seen one on Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, and there's one in
still playing through that.
I haven't even started.
Yeah, that's for another time.
Yeah, I've got time.
You've got a bit of time, yeah. Yeah, so I did want to sort of talk a little bit about the countryside where we see the TIE fighters fly over. Do we know where that's shot? Because it's very British, isn't it?
Yeah, well, everything was filmed in
Scotland, right?
Yeah. Well, being in the Lake District at the moment, my first thought was they're filming this in the Lake District because we'd just been walking up a couple of mountains, and it literally looked just like where we had been walking. But I did actually have a quick look on the internet, and yes, it does look like it was filmed in Scotland. Yeah, the mountains were a bit bigger than they are here in some of the shots. But yeah, it looked really nice, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
It looked different.
And I think they even, I don't know if it was like a little nod to it, but they called it the Highlands. Within the episode, they called it the Highlands, and they said that people have been chased down to the Southlands. So maybe we'll see something from down south at some point. City life.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That was good.
Yeah. All in all, though, good episode.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. As I say, I think I thought it was an episode like the first 3 that when we get to say episode 7 or 8 and it's all kicking off, we'll be able to go back and say, oh well, that obviously was built up from episode 3 or episode 4.
That's what's triggered this into place. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think it's just a world building, character building exercise that we're in at the moment. And the thing I was most interested in, as I said at the beginning of the pod, was the ISB. I really love all the backstabbing that's going on, and obviously Mon Mothma and Luthen. Oh, I was going to ask you, who do you think that she's referring to when she says she'd like to bring someone in to the organization?
Yeah, I don't know. Go on.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
You don't know either. No.
Well, my first thought would be Bail Organa.
I think Bail Organa came through my head at that point, but it didn't when you asked me the question just then. It was just when I was watching it, I thought, oh, I wonder if it. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure, because would Bail not already be involved? Because this is 5 years after Obi-Wan. This takes place, so. Obi-Wan was Obi-Wan was 10 years before A New Hope, and this is 5 years before A New Hope. So I think Bail was probably already,
unless he's I did wonder if we'd see him in the series at all, but
I think we will.
I think we might.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I think maybe he's, going to gain a more serious role within the rebellion, because we know he's going to be there eventually.
Oh yeah.
Whoever he already is, yeah.
Mm.
Who knows?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and if we haven't even talked about the I forget his name, the guy who then they all got fired, the security force, and he obviously came back home to Coruscant.
I was going to say, was that in Coruscant? That was down in like the Uskru district, was it? Or
yeah, that was
around that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Coruscant looked a lot different, didn't it? The planet from its space looked the same, but actually it looked more industrial and less, I don't know, less colourful than the prequels made it out. But then again, I guess that's a
Things have
choice.
changed.
Yeah, well, it's a choice as well, I suppose, to show the Empire has taken over, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, he ended up going back to home, and I'm getting the impression that he is someone who desperately wants to make something of himself, and he sees the only way he could have done is to join the Empire, and work his way up the ranks, and he's failed and had to come back to, family or life with a bump kind of thing. So he's going to be out. I think we're going to see him be out there to try and do some backstabbing or something.
I expect so. We're going to see him again, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
We'll definitely see more of him. They built him up to a certain point, but then we didn't see anything of the other guys. So
no, I think we've probably finished with them now.
What, the Scottish matey and
unfortunately, I do like the Scottish guy.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's that for this. For the episode of Andor, but there is some other news. You've been, despite being on holidaying in the Lake District, you've been involved in more auctioning.
Well, here I was. I got every day that we've been out in the Lake District, we've been out really early in the morning. We've walked up a mountain and then walked down the other side and had some lunch when we got back into town, and then come back to the house and had a little bit of a chill out on the sofa. So there I was with my iPad, just sort of flicking through, and I said, and all of a sudden there's an auction, Star Wars auction happening, and it's bigger than the last Star Wars auction that we were talking about. It was massive, and it had stuff that was going for £4,000, £5,000.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, 12-back Palatoy Star Wars figures. They were just crazy prices, but I was just kind of watching the auction, just, and every now and again something would pop up. Tick a cheeky bid in here or there. I ended up with nine lots again. I don't know what it is. I got 9 lots last time, and I ended up with 9 lots this time.
We'll play 9 on your lottery ticket this weekend, eh?
Yes. But yeah, I ended up buying 9 lots of all great. Everything's graded this time, AFA graded, so they're in the acrylic cases with a grade.
Oh, cool.
I won't go into too much detail because we should probably do a what do they call them, a haul video or something.
Yeah. We'll do a reveal of all the things that you picked up this time.
Yeah, I picked up some really nice stuff, and most of it is for me, to be honest with you. Yeah, and I picked up a few items that are kind of linked to Andor in some way, to give you a little bit of a sneaky hint.
Oh, nice.
Nice. So yeah, I'm really happy, but a little bit upset because obviously you don't spend too much money when you do an auction, but then you get whacked with the auction fees.
Yeah,
and they just it's 30% the auction fees. It's crazy. So
yeah,
so
your wallet's a little bit lighter anyway.
Yeah, thankfully I managed. The last auction that we had. If you haven't, then please go back and look at that video. But I pretty much sold everything that I didn't want to keep on eBay now. So
that turned out to be 4 items after the episode, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, it was more than that. But yeah, thankfully I did sell them because I used the money that I got back from spent selling that stuff, and I bought a load of new stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I'll never learn.
Never mind. It's all fun, isn't it?
It is good fun. Games. Yeah. But we should probably finish up there because I know Adam's not feeling too well.
I've had a rough week.
Yeah.
Really under the weather this week, but
Yes.
Needed to be done.
But he'll be happy to make him feel better. As soon as we finish this, he'll be editing it.
I'll be editing this tomorrow. Go straight to bed, I think.
Excellent stuff.
Cool.
Okay, guys. Well, please like and subscribe. Any comments about things we've missed, please, we'd appreciate that. Anything more from you, Adam?
No, I think that's it. We'll
Great
catch
stuff.
you all next week.
Well, take care, everybody. Speak to you soon.